Okay. All right. Good morning. So I'm really excited. Today we have Stacie Chase from Fun Time Services who's going to talk about profitable rentals. So she has all kinds of fun ideas of how to incorporate smaller rental items to increase your profit margins. And Stacie truly is the queen of rentals because she's renting everything from Santa chairs to popcorn machines and margarita machines and everything. So we're going to dive right in. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to pass it over to you, Stacie.
Okay, let me see if I can manage that share technology here. Where did my Canva go? Well, bear with me as I figure out my technology. It's there. I can see it on my screen, but I'm not seeing it on the things to select from the share screen. Bear with me. Where'd Canva go? Sorry, guys. I should be good at this by now, but
All good.
so anyway, I'll tell you a little bit while I click around, I'll tell you a little bit about myself.
Okay.
I've been doing entertainment and rentals and decor for technically 42 years. But I know I can't possibly be that old, so we'll just say 32. Um, and then I started as a performer and got into balloons, and then made my first balloon arch back when you actually made helium balloon arches with paper clips.
Oh
Um,
my gosh. I'd love to
yeah,
see that. I mean, I
that
love
was,
popping
yeah, and
balloons.
those people are still in
Popping
my
flying
life,
away.
which is absolutely amazing. They were just part of, um, they're just part of all the things that happened with Olivia, and so they're still a part of my life. Like so many years later, from the time I was 15 until now, these people that taught me like the very weirdest decor thing ever are like came and we just laughed about how like if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't make balloons. And all right, so now I've found like it just somehow I accidentally closed it. So ta-da, decor adjacent rentals. There we go. So they taught me a little bit, and then I moved to New Orleans and I did street performing for years, and I was a professional clown for 15 years. And then I moved back to St. Louis and I met my husband. And when I was in New Orleans, I learned how to set it up and tear down a bouncy house. So then I said to my husband, hey, he wasn't my husband then. He was just a guy I knew. I said to my husband, hey, we got to get some of these bouncy houses. And he said yes. And then that started that. And then my friends kept saying, you got to do tents, you got to do tents. So then I got tents and went, ugh, I don't want to do tents for 12 years. And I finally got tents. So then I do tents. And then that delved into everything else, which we're going to talk about the stuff that I have in my world that would relate nicely to the balloon world. And I do a combination like Alyssa, a lot of the big backdrops and a lot of combination, what I kind of think of as multimedia or multimodal rentals, where you're combining things in with your decor to increase your ticket. The way I approached putting together this presentation was so that you could think about what is in your budget, what is in your vehicle range that you can use in your vehicles that you currently own, and what leans into your market. So um, this would be decor adjacent rentals. So that's the first question. Are you ready for rentals? Rentals will increase your profit margin for my rule of thumb is if I get asked for it 10 times, I buy it.
Hmm.
Um,
10
I break
times.
that rule often
Okay.
because I want it.
Yeah.
But if
One
you
time
want to
I'm
be a
like, great.
smart business person, you wait until you know if there is a demand in your market. And while you're assessing whether or not there's a demand, try and network with a vendor partner that has what you're getting requested. So, for example, I don't have the neon marquees. I have the traditional bulb marquees. So I would go to Alyssa and say, hey, Alyssa, I need a neon marquee. And she'd say, okay. And then I drive over and get it. And it's completely unrealistic because it would cost me more, but I get to have lunch with my friend. So, your questions that you have to examine are, do you have storage space for the rentals that you might want to bring in, or are you willing to invest in storage space, or is your garage a non-negotiable item with your husband, or can you take it over? Do you have vehicle space, and the ability to move it. So vehicle space is one thing. You can make things fit in minivans, cargo vans, you can rent U-Hauls. Um, a little helpful hint that I gave to someone today, Alyssa, if you don't know, you can actually take out a short-term lease with Penske. Penske does will lease to businesses, and if you are only busy and need a bigger truck or van for say 3 months, you can do a short-term lease and not be liable for all the things that you would be if you had to own a vehicle 24/7, 12 months a year. Labor. Some of these things are
Yeah,
heavy.
I'm going to chime in. That was an incredible tip just because we are looking and one of our vans is smaller and I'm waiting for that to die. And this is kind of a great interim to be able to do it. And then I could see where I'm at without. So I thought that that was a fantastic tip that you could do just a 3 month lease because it really is 3 to 5 months that we need it. And then the other 7 months, I don't need to have all the vehicles. So that could be a great solution for us that is possibly really cost saving as well. So thank you for that.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. And my cost analysis on that, because I've done the analysis of like running back and forth
Mhm.
for the weekend and paying for the extra miles and paying for the extra days for my business and the amount of rentals we do and the amount of employee labor time and back and forth check in, check out time. It was just basically a wash with those 2 to 3 extra days that I didn't need the vehicle necessarily, as it would be paying an employee to drive with me, dropping it off, picking it up, adding extra gas at that time, then adding extra gas again. So while it seems like, oh, well, I'm going to pay $24 a day for these 3 extra days. If you're paying, well, in Illinois, we have to pay a minimum of 15 an hour. But if I'm paying for 2 hours of labor and 2 hours of labor again, and I know it doesn't seem like it should take an hour to return a truck, but you never get in and out of Home Depot in any kind of realistically time-friendly fashion or U-Haul. I just keep it because it's just not worth the back and forth. But you can set up your leases or your rental arrangement with Penske to do weekends if weekends are all you need. It's worth having a good conversation with them. And explaining what your needs are and examining the time hassle versus the money hassle. So that's the helpful
Mhm.
hint on, if anybody needs more information on that, feel free to message me or message Alexis and she'll get you a hold of me. Labor is the other thing to think of. If you're a one-man band, you have to think about how exhausted you're going to be moving around heavy things, and is there a lighter alternative or a more space-saving alternative, or a vendor partner again. So those are the things to think about for considering beginning to get into rentals. So signs are one of my great rental items. I charge $35 for a small neon sign, up to $125 for a large neon sign. There are several, baby on board, bride to be, happy birthday. These are readily available on secondary markets and on Amazon. If you invest in the ones that you see often all the time, they're a great upsell to things that you're doing. And they don't take up much space. Wood signs, I regularly rent wood signs to a variety of parties. The more generic the sign, the better, and or if it's a sign that you can customize. So you can have welcome, but you can put on there with your Cricut to Janie's wedding. If you look over to the left, the foam board, well, left on my screen, the foam board sign that's there with a little bit of floral and a little bit of balloons, that was custom done. I do those quickly and easily through Office Max or Office Depot for about $40 for a 24 by 36-inch sign. They integrate with Canva. I slap that design in Canva, send it over there, have it printed, and I charge 85 to 125 for those signs. They keep them. I don't want them back. So, but they don't know how to do that and they don't know how to use the coupon. So I also have printers I work with, but signs are a great way to upsell what you're doing. They want to say welcome, they want to say happy birthday. So just that quick, hey, did you need any kind of signage to go with that? You can get plenty of easels on Facebook Marketplace because people buy them for weddings and they resell them, and it's much cheaper than buying them fresh. I have wood easels, I have metal easels. I rent my easels for $12.50 for simple ones and $25 for fancy ones. Very small and easy thing to add to a decor option because they fold down flat.
Mhm.
Hi, Dom. So that's signs. So signs are a great
I
upsell.
love
And
those acrylic ones too. What are you charging for those?
okay, acrylic ones are always custom done for me. And I have the link in the resources page at the end. I use JP Neon and Janus Paper for those. I just mark them. I got a wholesale account, so I just double whatever the price is.
So there's a company out of the UK called Nancy Loves, and they do these super cute. They do these discs. They do these like it's kind of like a mini
It's
what
the
do you call
same, probably the same thing as
it?
Janus Paper.
Wave panel, but then you just use the Cricut every time.
Hmm.
So I think they're so cute. I'm ordering some of those. Like I love it.
Are
Just
they blanks through
they're
them?
they're blank and then you put your Cricut on it.
Okay, so you could technically do the same thing with Janus Paper, but if you have that, I can add it to the resource list so it follows this presentation.
Yeah.
Easy enough. Marquees, and this falls under signs for me. This is what I call my flat marquee. I talk about this a lot. If you've been around me for over a year, I'm sure you've heard me mention it. It is a flat but three-dimensionally printed sign that you add light bulbs to. So light bulbs stick out, but in a photo, it looks 3D. You can put it on a stand. You can use it as a lawn sign, but as a stand, they can take it inside of their house. I've got grad, I've got prom, I've got all the letters, all the numbers, baby, he or she, marry me. I've got all the things in this, and they rent out for $35 per sign or letter for me and $10 for the stand. I allow my clients to pick these up because they can hardly break them. Um, you can occasionally get a scratch on them, but they're sub 35 to purchase. So it really doesn't matter to me if they kill it, because if they kill it, I can get a new one. Custom signs, I get these, generally, I do have a local guy that I like to work with if it's something super precious, but I'll be honest, the cheapest place I found are the places on Etsy. And I just double the price. But if you are local, there are some cute signs, cool party balloon now stocks things like baby, um, and a few other like cutout signs in their little shop. They actually do carry some. So if you need one and you want to support a balloon person, they actually carry like several of them in their store. But this is a big upsell for me because people are always coming to me with like, I wanted to say George and, Gina. Fine, I can do that for you. I already know I can do that for them as long as they have at least like a 2-week throw. They don't, they probably could figure it out on their own. But remember, people want ease. They want one button, one click, one person. So if you have the ability to offer them the upsell, if they're cheap enough to go out and do it on their own, that's fine. But it's so much simpler for you to say, yeah, and for $85, I can add that for you. And it's just all you got to do is go to whoever is closest and quickest, get it to you, spray paint it gold, white, blue, pink, whatever they want it, throw a little quick link magnet on it, and you're a click magnet on it, and you're good to go. Backdrops are another thing that most people have them in one form or another, but they are a great way to upsell. So, step and repeats in my area are normally something that's going to have, like right now for a prom send off and graduation, they want the person's whole picture on it. The only difference between that and like a banner is that you're talking about like, how does it fit the frame? So there's the tension frames, there's the pipe and drape frames, and then you can get the cheap Amazon frames. I don't particularly care for the little tripod bottom frames. I don't think any of us do, nor do any of us like decorating on them. But everybody's like, I got one. It's because they all bought one. I got one. I don't want one, but I got one. So I have resources in the resource section on people that I like their frames, that I use their frames, PB backdrops, ICU, and you can get a variety of tension covers. So if you have a nice tension frame, you can add what looks like a glitter, what are they called? Shimmer wall backdrop. They have 3D printing ones now that look amazing. And you don't even need to like ever deal with the shimmer wall again because it looks like realistic. They've gotten crazy good at printing. But the nice thing about tension frames is usually they have a front and a back. So you can get 2 designs out of the same cover for your frame. Step and repeats, I charge full price plus on what it cost me because I usually leave that with the client. I do not need a picture of their son, graduation picture of their son. But doing something that's like prom or congrats grad, that works out really nice instead of like a banner to have it on a either a pipe and drape with a top gusset and a bottom gusset or or a tension frame. If I were to choose to keep one thing of the two, I would get the pipe and drape because it's far more flexible and you can just add a bottom pole to it to where you can make the tension and it breaks down into 1, 3, 4, 5 pieces, 6 pieces if you're using the tension. The tension frames do break down, but you are limited to what you can put on them. You could put pipe and drape curtain on them, but it's weird. So I recommend pipe and drape over tension for an initial purchase because it's flexible and it's a great way to begin and you can expand it. Whereas a tension frame is only going to ever be the one size. You can get a 8 by 8, 10 by 10, 10 by 20, but you're not going to be able to make that into a 20-foot backdrop or a 30-foot backdrop or 40-foot backdrop. Whereas with your pipe and drape, if you already have it, you can continue to add on to it as needed. So I love pipe and drape money. So I am like, I will talk about that long and long and long. This week alone, pipe and drape made me more than balloons and more than tents and more than bounces. So I love pipe and drape money. I don't think everybody needs to be an expo center, but you certainly can use your pipe and drape a lot. So this 40 picture here was actually pipe and drape. The client picked up their balloons, they picked up their sign, and they picked up their bouquet. I did no labor on that install, as you can tell, because the little caps aren't on the install. But I rented that out and I never had to do anything other than hand it to somebody at the door and take it back in. That made me about $340, if I remember correctly, for them to pick it up and bring it back to me. But you can do a lot of things. You can add your balloons onto your pipe and drape. You can add shimmery curtains. And then like this was the bottom picture there was dividing. It was with the photo booth and uplight and all the other things there, but it was dividing a room for Marmion Academy. So, you know, we were able to take that pipe and drape and add and add and add to get a nice, what I call functional pipe and drape, which that's where you make a good chunk of money. That upper right-hand corner with the balloons is not my photo, but one I stole just to kind of show how fancy you can get with that. I don't remember where I stole that from, but I thought it was super cute. And I didn't have anything like it when I was putting it together. So, but Alyssa Marie did one that was this super cute this last weekend. It was purple and gold and black, if I remember right.
What are you guys charging for the draping on that?
So I charge, if it's functional draping, I charge per linear foot by height. So if it is like the bottom red and white one, I just go per linear foot and it's $8 to $25 per linear foot, depending on the height of the curtain. It's just hard to price that per set. But for my backdrop, like say for the silver and So for the silver and black one there, my initial backdrop for 8 by 8 to 8 by 10 expandable frame, I charge $125. It includes 3 curtains. Here they've added 2 curtains and they've added sparkly curtains. So sparkly curtains go up $8 per curtain. Extra curtains are then 20 extra dollars. So this would have been 125 plus 20 plus 20 plus 24. So plus 64. So that would have been about 180 on that backdrop for them to pick up.
For them to pick up?
Installed, it wouldn't have been much different. It would have just been the cost for delivery and installation.
Do you hand them the curtains on the top pole, the
No,
top
I
guide?
give them in a box. They have to thread them themselves.
Oh my gosh.
So when sorry, I'm gonna chime in really quick because I do have like I have a lot of sets of pipe and drape, but I don't normally send out for huge continuous. But one of the things that you can look into as well is some of my rental shops that are local. I do have relationships with them. So that way, if I do need to do 40 feet of continuous instead of using all my stands, they sell it to me for something like $1.50 a linear foot. And so I'm able to really just like, mark that up how much I need to mark that up and be able to sell it. And it's still my price, but then I don't have to pull in the extra sets for that weekend. And some of them do go up to the 16 foot, and they also have the 16-foot curtain too. And again, I think that it comes back down to people want it to be as simple as possible. And if you could add that on, and people charge a lot of money for the pipe and drape. So if you could get that pipe and drape money added on because somebody needs it instead of them getting it from someone else, that that's a really good, really, really good add-on.
So my recommendations that are at the end of the thing do recommend like not really like start with an expandable like 7 to 10 foot upright and 10 to 12 foot cross or 8 to 12 foot crossbar because that gives you the most versatility in what you're presenting. And then I recommend like if you're going to basically get 2 sets and an extra crossbar, so then you can have 2 independent backdrops going out, or you can make up to 30 foot, 36 foot pretty easily.
Yeah.
If you need to go above that, you're doing what Alyssa says, networking with someone. Until you see that that is a clear and present request, you're going to get the requests for maybe weddings that want a full wall done. But 90% of what we get requests for are so there's functional, there's form, and there's photo. Functional is where I make a lot of money. I'm hiding buffets. I'm putting stuff up for companies like Amazon's having a grand opening, but they're not done with construction yet. Functional makes money, but it is literally black drape so that nobody can see behind the curtain. Form is like if you're looking at, I call the form pipe and drape anything where they're trying to create like trade show booths. And that is a great lucrative market, but not a market that balloon decorators really need to be in. There are companies that do that exclusively. I do it as part of my business, but I wouldn't push anybody towards that. But same scenario, you've got the curtaining, you can create your own little booth and it's super cute. And photo is everything decorator, everything that is Juji, everything that is special. So on the little pumpkin, she ordered balloons for me. She had her own backdrop. She got the frame for me so she could put her backdrop on it and attach her balloons to it. I was like, fine, there you go. But everything else in that picture she rented for me as well. The chairs, the table, the Juji stuff on the table, that was all done, for a really super cute baby shower. If you look to the Christmassy one, that's like a double hung swag. I would charge a lot of money for that. Like there's no way that that's getting out of my shop for under $800 to $1,200. But what people want right there, that picture is the picture that we're recreating all the time for proms. And why I didn't have my own picture, I don't know. I think I just grabbed it because it was there. Like I'm really wondering why I don't have my own picture in here. But anyway, that's where you're making, because they're asking you for the balloons and you're asking them, well, how are you using these balloons? Oh, we're going to use them as a backdrop. Great. Have you got your backdrop already? Oh, no, I was just going to order something on Amazon. Oh, don't do that. I've got a much sturdier frame that I would love to provide for you. Did you need some curtaining to go with that? Do you have an inspiration that you're looking for to how you want it to look? You can easily buy an 8x8 Christmas backdrop panel and then do your balloons around it. I use Kate backdrop for almost all my backdrop panels. I love them, love their quality, love their responsiveness. Love it when my husband doesn't forget to finish the order for me. Inside joke. But they do great pipe and drape panels that are 8x8, 10x10, 10x8. You can choose your side. The one helpful hint I have there is get a top pocket and a bottom pocket because it makes your panel look so much nicer if it's a single panel. I'll see if I got more pictures in here. No. So, but pipe and drape, even if you have one 8-foot expandable section, will in short order likely make you money and be very easy to transport in just a regular cargo, like a regular minivan, because it's compact. So I recommend that as a money-making add-on that you can parlay so many different ways. So that's that. Walls, we all have different ones. You get all the Shiara walls and the square walls, and that was a picture of the LA Balloons, really fancy zhuzhi thing at Float. The wood walls, sequin walls. I mean, so many walls. I mean, like so many walls that people see all over and they want to just grab them on Amazon. I recommend a little sturdier frame if you can afford it. You know, stretch a bit, go to PB Backdrops or go to somebody who's making a little bit more. Like a lot of us have made our own Shiara walls that are actually, you know, a little bit sturdier than the ones you get on Amazon, unless you want to, you know, kind of like I definitely have Amazon ones too, because I'll let them go out for pickup. If you look on Amazon, these don't cost a whole lot of money. I rent them for $65, $75, and $85 with a cover because I have a plethora of covers and nobody wants to go buy their color cover and buy the frame and do it. So I charge almost what it costs, but I have the covers. So if you can afford to have like some really good basic cover colors and designs in stock, they're very easy. Don't undersell them. Don't, you know, don't under rent them. Definitely sell them for, imagine if you have to replace it in 2 rentals, you've made your money back. So if you're buying the lesser expensive frame, don't undercharge for it because you think, oh, well, it's so cheap. I'm just going to charge 20 bucks. Nope. Wouldn't be what I'd recommend. But walls, and I generally don't take them apart because I have big trucks, but those walls that do have the screws and stuff, you can take them apart and they do become pretty transportable, but then you have the setup time and labor on site to reset them up. So consider what's more important, your space savings, the lightweightedness of it, and the labor of it. But walls are a great, big, huge add-on. I get more requests for floral walls than any other kind of wall, but I start the conversation with my floral walls start at $425, and that usually ends the conversation. Because
Need to
most
charge
people,
that much? Do you need to charge that much?
do I need to charge that much? Yes, because they cost $1,200.
Hmm.
I don't have to
Rented
if I
out
want to
all,
offer a
we could've
cheap, if
rented
I
out
want to
all
offer
this
a
time and
cheaper
they added
wall.
balloons.
But there's no like the cheaper ones that you can just tie together on Amazon. You need a backdrop for that so you don't see through it. You know, you have to make it more than what it is anyway. So I don't want the person who wants that in their backyard for a birthday party. I only want weddings and upper level clients to take my flower wall.
Okay.
That's my personal choice. But I also have a very expensive walls, so I don't want to trot them out for just any, you know,
Right. I don't have
it's
any. They look amazing. I just didn't know.
no, and they're a big request because people don't think they're expensive. But Alyssa, what do you charge for your flower walls?
We have them at 3 different price points because we have different levels of them. So our cheap one, which is indoor only, is 300, but our ones that the rest of ours are actually built on wood frames, and those we charge a minimum of 500 for. So we're like 250 for I mean, it's plus delivery and pickup. So we're 250 for the wood ones. We're 250 for a 4x7.5 panel. We only go to 7.5. We don't go to 8 because otherwise you don't fit inside some freight elevators. I always give people that tip if it's pre-built, and then it just goes up, like they go out to 16 feet for 2 of our walls, and they just choose how many they want. We do the hedge wall more than we do the flower
Yeah, I do
walls.
a ton of the hedge walls. Now they're
Yeah.
less expensive for me because but I
Mhm.
have 3 versions of hedge wall. So I do have that like curtain hedge wall, I have a frame hedge wall, and I actually have walls, like built solid walls that are hedge wall as well. So
Yeah,
um
same. I have a small one that's built on an arch, like on a tiara arch wall that's
mhm.
solid. I don't like to be able to see through them. And then I actually have up to 8 wide. So that would be 32 feet for the hedge walls. And we can stand those either individually or on their own. I only have 3 of them here right now because some of them that is an item that I share with somebody, with a vendor partner. So
Yeah, I have I think 8 or 10 4-foot wide, like the actual wall
Mm,
walls that can be used outside. But regardless,
yeah.
she is correct in saying that the hedge wall is the most requested. So if you have pipe and drape, you can go to CV Linens and you can get a 4-foot hedge wall panel that is nicely lined. And you can't see through it. And 2 of those make an 8x8. And if you have pipe and drape, you can hang those on your 2 8x8, put a little corner cap on your pipe and drape, and you have a beautiful hedge wall that you can charge $325 for. And you're good. You can make money on that all day long. It looks like a solid wall. It doesn't have to be a solid wall. It looks like a solid wall. You can hang your little lights on them, like your little neon light on it. You can do a lot of things with it, and it's a great intro to a greenery backdrop, which is probably the most requested. You can turn that into money with balloons next to it. A lot of times you can take it and you can make that jungle look. And the helpful hint there is because it's lined and because it is actually still just the squares that are kind of clipped all together, because all of them tend to be that, you can throw some light floral in there and take it right back out of the wall. So if you wanted to do just a
Mhm.
little bit of light, you know, you know, pepper some roses throughout it, you can use that flexible wall to pepper some roses throughout, or pepper some like sunflowers or something throughout. And then you can upsell it as a floral, a floral accent. And I charge about $100 to do a floral accent, and I throw about like 30 or 40 pieces of flowers in there and call it a day. Um,
Yeah, we do also do that with adding some of the ivy and turning it into the jungle wall instead of having
mhm.
purchased a separate jungle wall as well. And I think that when you look at the floral walls, what you really need to know is there's definitely different quality. Like our red rose wall is a lot more expensive, and that does start to rent at 1200 because that's the 3D roses that are extremely organic. Like when we look at the one that LA Balloons has in there, that appears to be a really I
The
mean,
front
that one
face
actually looks pretty, yeah, it looks pretty flat. Like some of them are so, like they're so dynamic, but you're paying a lot more money for that. And again, that's going to price out for pretty much everybody who's not going to be in a wedding market. The thing that I find is we have like white, pink, red. There is a lemon wall too that's been really popular that we keep a lot of them bagged. That one is on the green zip carton. You can't see through it. But where I find that flower walls are can be difficult, so you're better off just popping in again some of your accent color florals is because they want so many random colors. Like they just
yes.
expect you to have everything in stock. Like they want, well, do you have a blue floral wall? No, but we have this white floral wall, like white roses, and then we could add in some blue hydrangea accents and then whatever else to it instead of having to stock everything because otherwise you'll go broke bringing in the rentals.
Yeah, I have a floral arch at the front of my showroom, and it's always got empty space in it. So every time somebody, and they
Mm-hmm.
ask about it all the time, I'm like, they'll ask for it, liking it just the way it is. I'm like, well, and you'll notice that there's empty space in there because we'll finish it out to your color.
Yeah.
And I leave it that way because somebody wants coral or somebody wants blue or whatever. And I'm always,
Mm-hmm.
it's got white hydrangeas, white roses, a little touch of pink in there. But like I can pretty much add anything else into it and it'll pull off as a beautiful floral arch. But again, I start that at 325 because it's a lot of
Yeah.
labor and it's not, I basically shoot for $25 a foot on anything floral and no less. So it becomes something that if you don't have a market that you really, really need to lean into a specific request, it's probably best to network with somebody who maybe like Alyssa has a good chunk of floral, or work with a florist that has silks and stuff that maybe you can design with. But I get a lot of requests for the wood wall. That particular wood wall that is in that photo comes apart in every little piece of it comes apart. So it's literally like a big tinker toy. You have the right and the left stand and you slide the things in. So it packs down really nicely. It's heavy, but it packs down super nice. So the way I had it made was so that it was easily transportable and that my delivery guys could put it together without it being a hassle, but it is not carried as one big full piece. I do have big wood walls that are full pieces, but there are ways that you can have walls made. And if you like those, like the walls that are solid or the walls with the little candy shelves, I think they're on my next page. Um, oh, here, and here's pictures of how so that's how the greenery wall would go together. You can see, like you can buy curtains that are 4x8, and you see how they tie together in the back. So that's how you can use pipe and drape to create a greenery wall or a floral wall, in this case, a feather wall. Another version of some frames that break down, which it's really looks like a wall when you put it up. Throw some balloons around that, looks great. So here's my wood walls that I carry, these 4x8 wood walls. They're really sturdy and solid, but you need a box truck and heavy duty boys to move those.
Mhm.
Um, that's like a boxwood overlay on you got your shimmer walls. Oops, I went backwards. That was a float shimmer wall at float. I was at float when I did some of this presentation. Sorry, it's all peppered in there. Ears, we got ears, say cheers. That is definitely on with vinyl and can be then made to say anything else for any other headbands or hats or little things you want to hang. It's just a really multi-versatile peg wall. You can make it a donut wall, all sorts of things. So it's a really generic wall that can be customized. And that winds up going over well when you're doing some of these really big custom installs. Like now they have all the treat shelf walls. Here's like a little, couple little doors that we rent out all the time for like little, you can open them and close them. Super lightweight, super easy to move, but look really substantial when you put them out there. So there's just so much you can do with like the treat walls, and that's one of my champagne walls. I add shelves based on how many things of champagne they need. It's one of my greenery walls. I just add the shelves onto them. So floral, treats, etc. So walls are great, but the things to consider about walls is a lot of them that you can purchase are heavy. They aren't
Mhm.
all transportable. So make sure if you don't have the vehicle to transport them, like in full, that they do fold. Every time you fold, break, or make something mechanical or movable, you are going to have wear and tear on the parts and the corners. So also, like if you get something super fancy that when you want to flip it up and you want it to all look consistent, keep in mind that you really need to protect that when you're moving it. You're going to have to wrap it in something, or you're going to have a bag for it, because the minute that you have an open exposed edge, it will chip up. So like those street walls, I'm constantly adding a little bit of paint here and a little bit of paint there. So whatever you make it in, make sure you have some touch-up paint, and like a really basic sense on how to use a screwdriver and possibly how to use a little wood filler, because over time they will get wear and tear. Using wood or MDF or anything like that. I will say that my sign company that is listed at the end does make a really cute Shiara wall alternative that is printed sparkly or whatever pattern you want to have to it. They will make it up to, Alyssa does this too, up to you can do a custom printed coroplast, and you can actually make mock walls of the coroplast that are lightweight, easy to move, and you can have pretty much anything printed on them. So that is a great alternative, and it wasn't pictured in there, but it's the same material that those flat signs are on. You can have that cut, designed, and printed to be anything. And it is a
Mhm.
great way to just be like either one and done that you leave it with a client, it's sub $100, or if it's something that you want to reincorporate, like say you got them done with a theme to them for graduation or whatever, you can keep those and use them over and over and over again. I actually had butterflies cut out of the coroplast so that I can use the lightweight coroplast with like you see the wooden butterflies all the time. I had those made out of coroplast because it's much more lightweight and I can use them a lot better. So it's a different way to think of the material, but it makes it far more portable and far more inexpensive if it's damaged.
Yeah, we use the chloroplast a lot
A
too. I
lot.
really like it. It holds up extremely well. You can chip it, but you could also damage wood. And same thing, we have both the walls and then we have the props, and we always make sure that we make a profit on it the first time. But if it is something like our one that's been really popular for 2 years, it's like the blue, like the Italian blue tile wall.
Mm-hmm.
So that we've sent out so many times. And, the first time I think that she paid 175 because she was essentially paying for the wall, but she didn't want it. So we kept it and then we just rent it out. Then we rent it out for $100 each time afterwards. So it's like the first time costs the most because it covers our expenses. And then it's just part of our inventory. So it's no longer a custom item.
And honestly, they wanted, I mean, even if you had to replace it at this point, it's made its money and then some. So it's
Oh,
always
like, yeah,
awesome.
20 times.
Yeah. And then so the next thing is just sweets and treats. These are a whole bunch of like I have this is high maintenance to have these things, but people ask for them a lot, especially if you're doing like a candy cart or like a welcome sign for like a sweet 16 or whatever. So I would tell you it's not something I highly recommend people get into, but I did touch on it because if you are in that market where everybody's doing a really beautiful backdrop for their sweets table, you would want to be able to say, I have a set of silver tableware or I have a set of gold tableware that you can use with your sweets table. And I bought those from either American Sale Mart, there's an American, or you can get them on Amazon, or I've got my wood ones come from a different place. I have a couple different themes. I kind of stuck with gold, silver, white, black, and wood. But that covers pretty much anything that the people are doing on the sweets table, and I will rent them out that package of tableware for like 35 to $70. And then they're responsible for all their own food. I don't touch their food, but it completes the look because I also rent linen. So now I've done a table, a linen, or possibly a really pretty skirt, like a willow table skirt or, something on a skirt, the backdrop, the balloons, the pipe and drape. It is now all part of a one and done scenario. So all they need to do is bring their sweet treats, and I can even do that, but I usually just hook them up with like a local baker and say, here's the baker. Most of the local bakers have some stuff for their own display, but a lot of like cookie mommies and stuff, they don't. Like those people that work like in their kitchen and they're just selling cookies and like cake pops, they don't all have displayware. So you're usually dealing with a family that wants to do something and they want to go get the treats, or grandma's making the treats or auntie's making the treats, but they don't need to invest in that tableware. It's not a huge investment. You can keep it in a couple of like the gray tubs. Make sure you wipe it off each time. It's not a huge investment to have for them, but it is a good upsell item if you're doing the backdrop and balloons and everything else.
Mhm.
I did touch on there quickly. I don't think I have a slide on linens, but
Stacey, I know you do really large scale events, but just for the tableware stuff, like if they're like, okay, they're doing the balloons or whatever, and there's really nothing for you to go back to get, and then they get like a fancy cake stand and cupcake stand, do you make them return it to you?
if
'Cause-
I'm not going back, yeah, I give them 3 to 5 days to return, and if they don't return, I charge a credit card.
Okay.
But most of the time I can just leave like the tub with them that they need to put it in, and they're good to return it themselves. But
Hmm.
if I was doing like a pipe and drape backdrop and balloons and maybe a crown or something with it, I'd be going back anyway.
Right.
But I do the same thing for my like balloon stands. If I'm just dropping off something where like there's a column on a stand, if they want to keep it, I give them 3 to 5 days to return it, or then I charge them for it. And 90% of the time I get the stuff back. So they don't need it.
Yeah.
So sometimes they do call and say, the balloons are so good. Can we keep them for another week? Yeah, sure. Just go ahead and keep them for another week. That's fine. Um, Plinth and cylinder tables, huge. Constantly renting them through my shop. This is showing you a paper version you can get on Amazon. It is not going to hold that stuff. That is all AI. I don't recommend the paper version unless you're just going to do it like for a quick look. Um, the tables that are next to the chair, those are the white metal plinths. They have plinth covers. I have learned that you just need to have a set of, you just need to have plinth covers because you're not going to want to continue to touch
Hmm.
those tables up. And if you have covers, you can cycle colors. So a lot of times people want, a black, a white, and a red for a NASCAR party, or they want like gold, silver, and black for graduation. If you have the covers, rent the plinth tables for $35 each, and I rent the covers for $10 each. They're a table cover. They're worth renting. So a lot of them will just do them for like their cake table. Or they'll do like a 2 or a 3 pack. I have 2 sets of plinths that are 5 packs. So I can match the sizes if they want the same size right and left, or they can do the variating. So I ordered 2 because I knew that I liked symmetry. And I also use them often to put a plexiglass table topper on. So then they have that clear table, but they have the two pillars underneath, and it works out really well. There is a third style that I have seen and do not use, but completely breaks down into a small bag, and it's literally like this little base plate, and you add the tubes on and you put a little top on it, and then you put the stretchy cover over it. So if you're super limited on space, that's another way to do it. It like packs down into like a 12 by 12 or a 16 by 16 bag. They sell those on Amazon, I believe. The other plinths, everybody talks about getting them on Temu for like $40 or whatever, but I think now it's like that plus another 50% because of tariffs. They nest. I don't have a recommendation wood over metal. I will tell you metal will dent, but if you put a cover on it, you don't usually see the dent. So I highly recommend making sure whatever you purchase, you can purchase corresponding cover sizes for. You can purchase these through so many places. But make sure, like, if you go to Event Decor Direct, they have them and they have their own size covers. But those size covers may not fit the ones you get on Amazon. There is no standard for size for plinth tables. Like,
Mhm.
no standard. Like, oh, I'm 15 3/4 inches and my friend is 17 5/8 inches. Okay. Luckily, spandex covers fit pretty well on most of them. Um, but like I've got this one that came with this itty bitty little plinth table, and I'm like, what am I gonna do with that? It's just this teeny tiny little plinth table. I'm like, that's like a tabletop plinth table. It's not even a plinth table you can do anything with. And there is no cover
Yeah,
that
it's like
fits
a
it.
riser.
I imagine for like the wooden plinths that are like they're nice, they are more expensive. You're gonna get more, and you'll get more,
And they crack.
and they crack.
The
Okay.
surface cover. Okay, first off, most of the wood. Okay, most of the wood comes from another country. So if you're getting it from India or China, that wood is in a different location when it is made. And it goes on a ship and it dries out and the humidity changes and then it gets to you and it looks good for a week. And then it gets into our humidity wherever you live, in our circumstances, wherever you are, and you will get cracks in your paint. Therefore, always make sure you can have covers. Because I have repainted my wood tables. I can't tell you how many times. Doesn't matter. Never look good again. They never look good once they get the cracks in them. So just, you can still use them. They're not a huge crack. It's just cracks in the veneer. But you can't sand them, paint them, sand them, paint them, sand them, paint them. Oh, and they constantly get chipped up. So while they're a better, sturdier table to some extent, and they don't dent like the metal ones do, overall, I have both. Just buy covers is where I go with that because they will always look consistent with a cover on them.
So our wood ones are actually a square shape that have like a little frame out in the
Yeah.
center, and we do rent them for a lot more money, but we had them made by a local carpenter, so we didn't end up running into, and he also used pressure treated wood to prevent that as well. So we haven't had the issues with that part, but they do always need touch up paint every single time we take them out because the edges do get,
Mm-hmm.
like, we even just bring with us for all of our wooden backdrops. We bring a paintbrush just in a plastic baggie. I'm just gonna give this little tip. Our roller, because we sometimes give it another coat, in a plastic baggie rolled up so we could bring it in, not have to bring in the paint can, and we could just go over anywhere that got scratched up or needs a little bit of TLC when we get on site. So same
I
thing.
use paint pens on my throne chairs. I have paint pens that
Yeah, that's smart too. And I love how you market those as Santa chairs during Christmas instead of just as throne chairs, because that's a really great idea because people aren't always searching for throne, but they will search for Santa chair.
and the other keyword search that's hot on those right now, which is I'm sure it makes sense in different parts of the country, but I'm getting a lot of people saying, "Do you have the royal chairs?"
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
was
that's a good word for it
newer that
too.
like this year I've probably been asked for a royal chair a number of times, whereas before it's always, always throne chairs, princess
Mhm.
chairs, queen chairs, but now it's royal chairs. Like,
Yeah, and
okay.
that's just really important for everyone to know for their SEO on the back. So that way you could also put it into your your alt text keywords, because that's what Google or Bing or Yahoo or wherever their search engine is going to be using to troll to find what you have it listed as. The other thing on the cylinders, I did accidentally like double book my cylinders once. And so you know, go figure, but shocking it's only been once. But I have the metal set. So I thought there was a set on Amazon and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this. And it was kind of pricey. And when we got it, and they were plastic that had to roll up, and it worked for the day, but we ended up returning it. They were garbage. So just be careful that because the plastic ones on there do look like they would be metal. Um, Make sure that you know what material it's going to be made of and that it's not just like a PVC rolled sheet with an acrylic top and bottom that you need to fit together and glue together because, whew, that was not fun. So,
Yeah, and those acrylic white ones are or clear ones are gonna crack most of the time
oh
often.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
just be mindful of those, and I would get
Hmm.
them from someplace like you can get them from Amazon, but I almost would tell you to get them from like one of the more places like either Event Decor Direct or CV Linens because they're going to actually have some customer service to their returns and
Yep.
maybe get
Yep.
you back a whole nother set. And I don't know. The clear ones are really pretty, but they're really problematic.
Hmm.
And the minute they crack, they're not clear anymore. Um, Throne chairs, we talked about them briefly. They weren't in my talk. Throne chairs take a full minivan or a full cargo van or a full box truck, and they are heavy and they're not the easiest thing to work with and they're expensive, but I buy mine from one supplier. I won't buy from anybody else ever again because he gives me a resin frame. And the resin frames do not chip up and crack and stuff the way that they do with the wood frames.
Hmm.
Um, and you are constantly chasing repairs on those throne chairs, and you never, ever, ever let anybody pick those up. You always deliver them yourself. I have, I think now 12 throne chairs and a double, but I have been through throne chairs from India, throne chairs from China, throne chairs from Amazon Marketplace, and then my chair supplier that makes my resin chairs has throne chairs, and he has them in like 72 colors, and he has them in black, gold, white, and silver for the frames. But that resin frame makes all the difference in the world. So for me, it's worth the extra cost to get the resin frame because I will not spend time painting them ever again. So as I replace my chairs, I replace them with the resin frame. So I don't know that that's in my resources because it's not something you can just order direct. We'll bring in a container from time to time, but right now we're waiting out the tariffs before we go back to that. So
Hmm.
that's my little floral arch I was telling you about, how we leave extra space for color. That was it done all in pinks and whites. But we're still, still discussing arches and backdrops. Some people consider them the same thing. I have a variety of arches that I will put out, for different clients and such. They are definitely super popular. As you can see here, most of them don't feature balloons. They mostly feature floral or some sort of a swag or macrame or whatnot. The one has balloons on it. I don't find that I rent these frames with balloons a lot. I find I rent them more to weddings and more to bridal showers with a kind of backdrop scenario going on, but they can all be done with balloons for the most part. It just doesn't lean into like the wood one leans into boho. But whatever arches you choose, whatever shapes you choose, if you can get a couple of the like pre-made floral swags, they're not expensive. You can add to them to make them look prettier. That's another great upsell that doesn't take up a lot of space if you have the kind like my octagon folds in half. My gold octagon comes apart. This square one that is with the macrame comes completely apart. It's into three pieces. The other square one, same thing. It's got bolts. It comes in pieces. The floral one comes into two half circles that I join at the top. So whatever you come up with for like a backdrop or an arch, be mindful of the weight. Like this wooden one, the wooden one that's kind of in the center there sways a whole lot. Um, it's manageable, but it's really a two-person job to put it back up, whereas everything else is really lightweight. And easy to transport. So if you're looking at something to expand your inventory, make sure whatever arch you choose is something that can break down, fold in half, be transportable in your vehicle, and or be put up and put down, like put together and taken apart. Um, a lot of times people are doing events and they just leave their arch behind. So I've inherited a couple over time. I'm like, oh, thanks. I'll take that. Um, but make sure that it is something that you can manage in whatever vehicle you're using. I don't like to even take things apart, so most of the time I don't break mine down, and I usually do my assembly at the showroom, and then I put them in a box truck, and then I send them where they needed to go. but that's because I have the luxury of having a box truck. If I didn't have a box truck, I'd have a whole lot more problems in my life. So, you know, I love being able to just pick something up, set it down, throw it in a truck, and then all they have to do is take it off the truck and set it down where it needs to go. It saves me a lot of on-site installation time for really simple things. So arches are a great way to add to your inventory, to your like with not a super huge cost. Floral is going to be expensive, but like the floral swags that are on the corners, these things, they usually run anywhere from 25 to 75 to $200, depending on how pretty you want them. Like if you get them from Ling's Moments, they're different if you get them on Amazon, different if you make them yourself. But once you have them, you can add, like you can get like a yellow or a white one and add yellow roses to it, and then take the roses out and add pink roses to it. So I always say start with white and off whites and greenery, and then add to it if you need to add to it, because that makes one thing super versatile. Um, Vases and centerpieces and all the tchotchke, there, you could just do this for days. Lots of batteries are involved with candles. You will get asked for them because you're going to be the person that's in the room. Just it really comes down to making a personal decision if you want to deal with some floral and some tchotchke, or if you don't. By far, vases and green and white floral and candles are my most popular things that I get requests for. So if you're not a floral designer, buy them pre-done and call it a day, and this is what you have. That's all. But the candles are super easy. Those vases go on sale 50% off quite a lot on Hobby Lobby. So that's a pretty easy thing to achieve that you can, I re-rent those. I re-rent that for $24. Three candles, three floating candles, and a circular base, not the extra vases, but just the triplet with the circular mirror base. I rent that for $24. So, on a regular basis. And then it pays for itself like the first time it goes out. So you just wind up having a lot of vases in a tub. But it's a great, if they're wanting to do balloon centerpieces on half the tables and low centerpieces on the other half the tables, it's a great, you can put anything in that vase. You can put Orbeez, you can put rocks, you can put ribbon, you can put candles. Vases are super versatile if you dress them up. So, and definitely, like if I were to entry level, say you need one centerpiece, that's the one I sell quite a bit over and over and over again in different variations. So lighting, we do a variety of lighting for what we do. The one thing I would say if you want a introductory lighting scenario is to get 6 to 12 uplights that are battery operated or rechargeable. That's a great thing to add to your balloon decor as well as to the room. So you can use an uplight at the bottom of like a nice decor wall, and it'll throw up on the wall, and you can add $35 per light to light the wall, and they're like, ooh, fantastic, you know, and you're just putting a white light on your wall. You can get really nice neon black light bombs that you can rent as well. And I rent those for 50. Um, but I get a lot of requests for like room lighting when I'm doing, you know, centerpieces, decor, walls, et cetera, et cetera. Room lighting becomes part of that. So I recommend like those for room lighting, but I have outdoor lighting. I have that just shows you the little battery operated lights that I utilize a lot in my decor process, because I like everything battery operated so I can reuse it over and over again versus the little pull tab where it only lasts for like 8 hours. So lighting is my recommendation on that is just the little battery operated uplights that you can set on the floor and use with your balloon decor, but you can get into so much more and people will ask for it from time to time, but it wouldn't be what I would consider my top seller. My top seller is the twinkle lights and lighting I can add into balloons and the uplighting. We talked about marquee letters early on, but this is the three-dimensional like metal marquee letters. This was a marquee letter option that Charlie Soria, am I saying his last name right, Alyssa?
I think so.
He makes this and he did a class on this at Float, which it's done with Coroplast and PVC vinyl at the bottom. So it's a kind of DIY it. I am really lazy. I would never DIY, but it's good to know you can. And there's my flat marquee numbers, but it's just to show you that there's different ways that you can achieve that marquee look. This would be akin to, the middle one would be akin to getting one of the foam ones and poking letters through it and just doing a foam letter yourself, but doing it instead of with foam, doing it with PVC, the Coroplast, and making, so it's like this letter, it's like the 40, but with a box around it to make it look three-dimensional. So too much work for me. I love the one to the right because it's cheap. I love the one to the left because they make a boatload of money on them. So marquee letters are probably one of the things I get asked for the most. If you do not have the money, and especially now that everything coming from China is going to be super more expensive for a while, if you don't have the money to get into the 3D metal marquees, you can get into the flat marquees for sub $400. You can have an alphabet and numbers, and you can see if you can upsell that with your balloon decor over and over and over again, and then you'll know if you have a market for the other marquee letters, or then you network with somebody like Alyssa or myself who have them, and then you just subrent them from them. I think that is all the things. You have all the things floral, all the things Shiara backdrops with lighted curtains, throne chairs. There's the plinth tables with the little, look, I put my little glass top on that. Little lighted trees are mine. I think that is just another, like, just some extra samples of things you can do. And here you go in my resources. I updated those for the most part, but I will add in Alyssa's stuff. So these are resources that I order from and places that I like to go. So I, definitely look over these. If you are looking for things to maybe add to your inventory, feel free to reach out to me with questions. I'm more than happy to answer those and give you any experience I've had. Anything I recommended is pretty much something I've had experience with, or somebody I truly recommend. I don't just pull them out of the air. And then this had some uh, leftover resources from when I taught at Float, but it did leave it in because some people, hear the talk about CRMs and stuff, and you've got a great, powerful thing with Fanfaire. So that is definitely your first go-to there. But if you need a VA, I think Jules or somebody asked about that. I did drop my link in there and would be happy to talk to anybody about the VA if you needed more information on how to work with somebody on that is a total separate thing. You can have a conversation with me on the side. So I can edit that, but that is a great little way to buy back your time if you're super busy and you need help with that. And I think that's it. I think that's all I got, except for questions. And I did it in just about an hour.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm inspired to potentially get into draping and then more of the signage. This is great. It kind of just sparks some new ideas like, oh, I should be doing that, or I wish I had that, right?
I
How
think with
about
the
you
pipe and
guys?
drape, I do have one more resource. I have one more link for my year-round rentals course that I teach that has my recommendations of what to buy for drape. I don't have that in here, so I'll drop that
A
into
link that
this
you had
doc.
for stretchy drapes. I just saw it somewhere in this list.
I got the drapes, but I have actually written out like this is what I recommend you start with.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a little extra verbiage I can add into this, or it's a QR code I can just drop in there that goes to another resource list of mine, like a link tree list. But I do recommend starting with, your black, your white, and a panel of silver and a panel of gold. Like if you're just gonna rock a 10 by 10 backdrop, you always buy two of everything so you have, consistency to have the right and the left gold or the middle gold. So
Mm-hmm.
black, white, silver, gold are your four colors to start with on pipe and drape because you're going to be able to use those for anniversaries, graduations, etc. But I have kind of a, like, if I were to order, this is what I would order recommendation. So I'll slip that in there so that you guys um, have that extra information on like what I would recommend for ordering. Is definitely a great starter, starter thing on the pipe and drape, and we'll make some money. So, and you
Yeah.
can use it for people's own banners as long as they have the proper pole pocket on it. So you can also just rent the frame and let them bring the banner, but be prepared with safety pins or clips because they will tell you, oh no, I got a pocket, and it'll be 2 inches and you need 3 inches, and then you're gonna have to jerry rig it. But
Or
it
there's no
works.
pocket.
Yeah. It always works. You just got to be prepared with that extra stuff in your kit, and then you can make it work for them.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
if
I thought
anybody
that
has
was great.
questions, I'll take them.
Just responding to Dominique. She said that she doesn't like the white drapes. And I'm like, I always hate white balloons because people always want to throw it in because they're like, oh, it matches with everything. Oh, if I want another color, I'm gonna do white. And it's like sometimes the adding white like sucks the vibrance out of things. So I could see that happening with like white curtains unless you're doing like a white party or something, right? Like
A lot of people do. A lot of people do a white curtain though to make things pop.
Hmm. I use white the most out of all the drape that we do because it also goes with everything. Um, we definitely started with the black, white, silver, gold as well. And then I would say add popular school colors that you rent to
Hmm.
a lot. And it's also nice to
Red
have
is by
different
far like the
textures,
next most popular red because of like red for
Christmas as well,
Christmas.
holidays.
Yeah.
But make sure that you get things if you don't do the reason the sequin is nice is because you don't have to iron it because it always looks good, but there are some spandex that you don't have to iron as well. And then
Yeah.
one of the best things I did was I got like a gauzy type one that was actually double hung on the
Hmm.
pole, so that way I don't have to double hang with the second bar when I do that for the white. I could literally just put up one pole and then gather it, so it's super simple, but yet it looks like a more complex backdrop, and I'm able to sell it for more money. So that's
Yeah,
nice.
and the only time I've got one of those too, but then you also get the people who want to do the light in between. So you do have to double hang, which is,
Mhm.
I mean, we could have a whole nother we could have like a whole thing on pipe and drape, but
Yeah.
if you just want to get started, the basic colors, and I recommend, I think I have it in this document here, the four-way stretch is 100% what I recommend.
Yes.
Because that if I had that when I started pipe and drape, there would be a whole bunch more curtains that I don't have to iron. I hate ironing. Um, I use the expo pipe and drape for all of my like, expo booths and stuff. But if I'm decorating, I'm gonna choose velvet, poly stretch, sequins. Those are all ones that you just don't ever really
Hmm.
have to worry about like having a crease in, though you can always take like a little portable steamer in case you do come up with a crease. But man, I remember doing functional pipe and drape for a corporate client, and we had to use all of our just regular drape, and it's all that cotton poly, but it's mostly cotton. And I spent hours steaming that stuff. And it's like, even because you take it and on site, once you fold it and you take it to on site, you get the crease. Well, this is that kind of client who could see every crease. Some clients don't care, don't see it. But this client, I mean, was, I don't know, it was one of those high-end cars like Jaguar or something. So we had to make sure it was, beautifully done. And we did.
Awesome. Okay, this was really great. What are you guys buying next? Anything you're like, oh, I gotta have that? So obviously with your go ahead, what?
Sitting on a whole bunch of rentals over here, and I just be looking at them. They be looking at me. They just don't be doing.
Well, sorry for the shameless fanfare plug, but so like you buy all these things and then you shove them in your garage or your storage unit and you're like, ah, gosh, I really ought to like put that out there so people can rent it, right? Like we collect like flowers and like, like tangerines that you can like put in displays and all kinds of stuff. But we have them turned on in our fanfare store, so it's like we can always suggest them to clients and they can find them
Mhm.
themselves too, right? So like
It's like your own little inventory management system.
so yeah, like I also turn things on that I want to buy. So like last summer, I was telling my business partner, I was people are gonna love these like rattan backdrops. We gotta buy them. They're for 50 a panel. I really want it. And then like, okay, let's just test it out. And like I was so wrong. Nobody wanted the nobody wanted the rattan ones, but people were buying, they picked this like gold shimmer wall instead. And I was like, okay, well, at least we had it out there. People wanted it. We ended up buying it. We stuck it in our inventory and now people use it. They love it, right? So it's nice to be able to test things out before you commit to buying it. We do that especially with like cutouts and stuff too. So if people want to enhance the theme, right? Or like things that are popular, then it's like, okay, we can grow that inventory only when people really want it. Like we're not just gonna buy things for the sake of buying them and then the client's paid for it before, and then we just like every time we resell it, it's profitable. So I want to get more LED signs, the acrylic ones, but yeah.
LED signs are
So
super easy to resell on a regular basis if people know that you
yeah.
have them. I have a little balloon dog sign by my desk, and they'll go, "Oh, do you have that?" and have it say happy birthday? Yes, yes, I do.
Mhm.
Yeah. What are the
We
LED signs
do.
that you guys get besides like obviously we have happy birthday, everyone goes for that. But I can't see like oh baby or being like a real like baby shower kind of a thing with an LED sign. Like what are the like the LED signs that you go for?
That's
Let's party.
real popular here. That old baby sign.
Yeah, the Oh
You know,
Baby is one of our most popular.
Yeah, oh
So
baby, and bride to be.
bride to be.
we have a lot of bridal ones. We have, because they all go out pretty. We have Miss Two Misses, Better
Mm, yeah.
Together, which they really like the Better Together, both for anniversary parties and for showers where both of them are going to be present. And then also bride to be. We have two bride to be's. Happy birthday. We have two styles. Getting the numbers, but Oh Baby is. We also have two Oh Babies. That's one of our most popular.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Is that
definitely.
nighttime baby shower or what is that?
Mm-mm.
No,
They
during the
just
day
have
it
them.
shows. Yeah.
Daytime.
Yep.
Daytime LED.
Oh yeah,
Hmm. Okay.
anytime.
No, it's bright enough that it punches. So, I mean, and
Mhm.
it's usually not outdoors, it's usually indoors.
Just
Um,
get one that has a dimmer. If anything, you get blowout. That's the problem with them, is that
Mhm.
they're too bright even during
Yeah.
the day. So you need to just watch that part of it more.
yeah, and we have Happy New Year and I think we have a Merry Christmas. I'm fairly certain I have that with snowflakes because I used it for something last year.
Oh yeah, we have two Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Our Happy Holidays goes out more than the Merry Christmas, just because for a lot of the parties they need it to be more like Merry Christmas goes out for personal parties, but Happy Holidays goes out for corporate
Corporate. Mm-hmm.
parties. So very few of them do anything that would be religious.
And then I bought individual light up little like 8-inch light up numbers for like 2025 last year for graduation, and then
Mm-hmm.
I used them at New Year's too, but they're only like 8 inches, so they're more like to kind of go sign adjacent, or you could put them on like a little tabletop display. And they were cute and cheap.
Mhm. Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, I guess
Yeah,
go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I think that like the backdrop walls, the LED signs, and the plinths are the best, and then pipe and drape are the best entry level to go into. And then also remember that for shimmer walls, you don't have to do a full shimmer wall. You could always start with like doing small shimmer panels that you add onto a wall, because I feel like that's trending a lot right now to have the texture, instead of, you don't always have to do an 8x8 wall. Sometimes you're doing like a 4x6 wall in front of a, next to a 4-foot chair as well. So they really like to have that.
Hmm. Totally.
Yeah, the shower wall, I have to say, one of our most popular rental walls. I mean, I have like, I don't know, 8 or 9 of them or something, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ours go out really often. And what's funny is that you mentioned the return, because we actually have, we never had one, and then we just got one made because we have it going out like twice in the next couple. We all of a sudden started to get requests for that out of the middle of nowhere. So, and I do the same thing. I know Stacie said that she gets asked 10 times, but she does more volume than I do, and she is a rental business. For me, it's once I get asked 3 times, that's when I get it, and we find that it ends up being a good investment.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, um, we've had some backdrops that were like, I don't know, like these aren't exactly like what like what people love. And so we actually did a run to Home Depot yesterday. We were making 3 new backdrops. And I am not crafty
Mhm.
like that. So like that felt like kind of a big deal, but it was so much cheaper than buying these online. Home Depot will actually like cut you to the like the dimensions. Like they'll do straight cuts. And then I have a friend who's gonna help with like rounding some of the backdrops and doing some other things to them. But and like adding the backing of it, but it's not actually as hard as I thought it would be. I was like, okay, this is like seems like I mean over my head on this, but being able to offer like more backdrops to do more styling, I think is going to be it's going to be good for us. And the other one of them we had was like just so heavy it's literally breaking our backs, and we're going into the LA Galaxy Stadium this weekend, and I'm like, we can't carry that thing, like there's no way. Um yeah. Okay. All right. So if you guys are available tomorrow, I know it's kind of a busy time, but I'm doing a workshop on showstoppers and bestsellers. So crafting your catalog for growth. So what are the things that you can actually do volume on and move that you got to have in your catalog? And then what are the things you should be pushing the envelope on to try to get more bookings with like show stopping decor that you want to install, that you're excited to install. And then I also wanted to take a quick poll. I have 2 ideas for upcoming workshops. One being like color theory. So putting like the right colors together. And obviously like we all have our own taste and our own eye, and people are going for certain looks. But I know someone who can do a really good fun workshop on just like how to think about color in a new way, and like the different like tones and all that. And so like sometimes when I'm playing on Fanfaire, I'll put colors together that I wouldn't have expected to look good. And I'm like, oh, wow, like that kind of looks really fun. Like it's this exploration. But if I had more background on like how to put color together, maybe I would more naturally start to put colors together in a more interesting way. Does that sound like something that's interesting? Yes? No? Okay.
Sounds
And then
like fun because you never know what you're going to learn.
yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe that one. And then another one. So I just started listening to a book on feng shui, and like, like when you go into an event and there's like, you're like, oh my gosh, like everything is just like so like perfectly evenly spaced out. Everything looks like very like balanced. There's something about like the room and you're like, this just looks awesome. And then other times you're like, wait, I went to a party that had like very similar decor, like similar styling, but like the way the room was arranged just felt really weird. Right. And then like, or you show up and you're like expected to put a backdrop somewhere. And then you're like, this is just the wrong spot. Like they're trying to force it in this spot. This is wrong. Like, what if we move some things around? Like you're suddenly like overstepping like what you're supposed to do there. Right. So I thought feng shui for events, like figuring out like placement in the room and those kinds of things. So when you enter those types of scenarios, you're like, okay, no, I know exactly what to do, instead of second guessing like where things should go. I don't know if that's a problem for you guys, but I've definitely felt that way. Like, I would like to know more about the flow of the room and just like the psychology around that.
I think that like it's that whole understanding how to design a room. I don't know if I overall call it feng shui, but like when you're painting a piece of artwork, it's usually, you're envisioning it in threes. Everything's a third. You're not just putting something dead center. You generally do one thing in one third, one thing in another third, and then you're putting that middle piece, depending on what your visuality is, closer to the right or closer to the left. So there are some rules of form and function, which is probably essentially feng shui. But I think if you can capture that rules of form and function for people, that would be very helpful, because a lot of people don't know, why do we put this at an angle in the corner instead of flat against the wall?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would definitely be interested in a class like that, or a workshop like that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm listening to this book. I'm not the expert. I'm pulling some resources that I'm investigating on my own. So I think I need a few weeks to be able to like kind of summarize what I've learned from all these sources. But I'm interested anyway. I'm looking into it anyway. So I can come back with what I learned. But if I can find somebody who knows more about this, like I'll definitely bring them in. Okay. Well, thank you guys for your time. Thank you so much, Stacie. This was a lot of fun. And I hope you guys can make some more profit on some of these rentals.
Yes, awesome. They rentals have been really good for us. Adding rentals really increased our business, and it also solved some of the problems that we had because we were constantly waiting on other vendors, which is really the reason that I started to add the rentals, because we were running a tight schedule. And if somebody else was supposed to be coming and adding marquee numbers, and then all of a sudden they're late, now I need to put my balloons on the marquee letters, and now I'm running behind to the next one, or else I'm running right up to the end of setup time on this one, and we just, spent 40 minutes standing around twiddling our thumbs. And it looks bad on us because we're the ones who are walking out of the room late. So that's one of the reasons that I started to explore rentals. And then it just ended up being extremely profitable to us, which is why I went more into it.
And she now has a gajillion back walls.
You have a gajillion. I have like a million.